You spend 3 hours highlighting notes, rereading chapters, and watching review videos. It feels incredibly productive. But then you sit down for the exam, stare at the first question, and draw a complete blank. Psychologists call this the illusion of competence. When you repeatedly look at information, your brain recognizes it and tricks you into thinking you actually know it. You mistake simple familiarity for true mastery. Seeing a correct answer on a page is entirely different from pulling that answer out of your own memory under pressure. It is exactly the difference between watching someone shoot a basketball and actually making a free throw yourself. Those comfortable, safe study habits, the passive reading and highlighting, are psychological traps that set you up to fail when it counts. The problem runs deeper than bad habits. Your brain is biologically programmed to aggressively delete information it doesn't think you need to survive. In the late 19th century, German psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered just how fast this memory decay happens. This graph is the forgetting curve. Without review, your brain drops 50% of new information in 1 hour and 90% within a week. Cramming temporarily spikes retention to pass a quiz, but it vanishes immediately. It's a short-term survival tactic. Relying on passive review and last-minute cramming means you are actively fighting against your own biological programming. Neuroscience shows us exactly how to bypass this forgetting curve through a principle called desirable difficulty. When it comes to the brain, cognitive struggle creates learning. The most effective way to trigger this is through retrieval practice. Instead of passively putting information in by reading, you force yourself to pull information out. Simply looking at your notes is like staring at a pristine sheet of paper. It leaves almost no physical impression on your brain's pathways. But when you close the book and force your brain to retrieve the answer, the mental effort acts like hands crumpling that page. Every time you retrieve a fact, it strengthens a neural pathway, leaving permanent creases in your memory that stick around. You can put this into practice immediately. Write everything from memory, take practice quizzes, and use flashcards. Your brain only remembers what it is forced to actively retrieve and use, not what it passively observes. This animated timeline shows spaced repetition in action. By spreading out your review sessions, testing yourself on days 1, 2, 4, and 7, you tell your brain this information matters, flattening the forgetting curve for months. You can also use a technique called interleaving. Instead of studying math for 2 straight hours, mix different subjects in 20-minute bursts. This forces your brain to constantly switch gears, and that extra cognitive effort builds stronger retention. And then there is the protégé effect. If you want to test whether you truly understand a concept, try teaching it to someone else simply. But these methods instantly fall apart if you try to multitask. Every time you check a phone notification, it is exactly like changing the channel on your brain. It shatters your focus and severely reduces what you retain. Finally, you need to sleep. When you rest, your brain organizes the day's pathways and physically hits the save button on those new memories. Applying these active tools shifts your baseline. You stop studying just to survive tomorrow's quiz and start building permanent knowledge. The goal of studying is not to stare at a page until the words look familiar. You need to push yourself until you can use the information without looking. We live in a world where artificial intelligence can instantly search, retrieve, and recite any fact ever recorded. Because computers handle the raw storage of data, simple memorization gives you no advantage. The smartest people today are the ones who can take that raw information, connect the dots, apply it to complex problems, and create new ideas. To train your brain for that kind of high-level thinking, you have to stick to the active habits. Quiz yourself, space out your practice, mix your subjects, and teach what you learn to others. When studying feels difficult, you aren't failing. That frustration, that cognitive friction, is the literal feeling of your brain